Two.
We on?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Good evening, nerds around the world. Welcome to episode 24, I believe. It's episode 24 of the Nerds Unite as One podcast. It's Paul English, joined by Chris. How are you?
Doing good, ball. Happy to be here.
Yes, indeed. Welcome. This is episode 3 of Star Trek month. Episode 3 of Star Trek month. Star Trek month's been going along well, and today we are going to be talking about what many call the black sheep of the Star Trek universe, and that is Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Chris, why don't you explain for a moment why is Star Trek Deep Space Nine called the black sheep of Star Trek?
Well, see, as it is, I mean, this is a series that was released in between the time during when Star Trek: The Next Generation was on the air, and this is when before Voyager was going to come on. What we do is in Star Trek. Of course, they had to hit with Star Trek: The Next Generation. Of course, they're going to figure out what you're going to do. Like, what are you going to do? What else can you do in the Star Trek universe? They're going to. The next idea, well, the second thing, is like the best idea is that you can set it on a space station, and then that's what this premise of the show was about. But it's the tone. I think it's the tone of it, and the overall approach, that kind of put. I don't always say kind of put people off with Deep Space Nine. I think they just like, they just it wasn't quite their taste. Star Trek has always had this Star Trek has has to have the philosophy about the future of planet Earth, and about the future of our planet where our race has progressed. Where human beings have progressed and there's peace on Earth. The Earth is a paradise, and we uphold a sense of morality about ourselves. Everything in the future is bright. Sunny Deep Space Nine, takes it a bit. It takes it in a more different direction. Like I said, it has darker themes. It's less about the exploration of space. And the thing about Deep Space Nine, it was the first Star Trek show to show that there was a war going on, and that was the Dominion War in the last few seasons of the show. The thing about next Deep Space Nine is it actually is a much more rounded show than its predecessors. In the successors, Ivory, it had original plots, and it incorporated religion, which is something that was never really truly explored in Star Trek before. I think it was the combination of darker elements and kind of like a challenging of the Roddenberry ideology that kind of made people not gravitate towards Deep Space Nine, because it's so dared to go in a different direction than people would expect from Star Trek. And I think that's why it's called the Black Sheep. I think that's why it's so vastly underrated.
Yes, indeed. We were just talking about this before we went live. It's so hard to, for big Star Trek fans, it's so hard to pick a series that we think is better than the rest, especially me, because I love all the Star Trek series. But I think I would grudgingly have to say, because I don't like picking favorite, that Deep Space Nine, I can't say it's my favorite, but it's the series that I watch the most. I love it. It's just so good. So let's talk about it. And I think you got to start at the beginning. I think the idea of Deep Space Nine started in 1991, shortly before Gene Roddenberry's passing. Rick Berman and Michael Piller, who we mentioned in the previous episode, who started on his Next Generation, were the guiding force of Star Trek's 19-year run on the small screen. They were approached by Paramount with Next Generation coming to an end, saying, "Hey, can you guys do another science fiction show?" And they were like, "Well, do you want to do another science fiction show or another science fiction show based on Star Trek?" And Paramount was like, "Do it, whichever. It's up to you." So Rick and Mike went back and forth a while, and they decided to go with the Trek-based idea. They wanted to do something different than the previous show, so they okay, well, let's go with the space station. All right, how do you make it exciting? Stable wormhole. Now it's a hub of galactic activity with this wormhole thing. So that was the premise of Deep Space Nine. That was how it got started. So now we have the premise. Let's talk about some of the characters, because Deep Space Nine's cast is definitely a example of just how far things have come. It was definitely a social message where you look at the character on the show, and the station's commanded by a black man. His first and second officers are women. His doctor is Middle Eastern, or has Middle Eastern origins. I think that's such a great way of saying how far we come, especially from the first, especially from the original series, from Next Generation. How quote unquote minorities are much more tolerated in the 90s than they were in the 60s or even in the 80s. So let's talk about some of the characters. And let's start off with the commander, Benjamin Sisko. I really like this guy. He was definitely he was a little more like Kirk than Picard, but I like this guy considering all the circumstances he was under with the death of his wife, raising his son, commanding a Cardassian space station. I thought he did a great job, and then later on, which we'll get to, the whole Dominion War. I really like him. What about you?
Oh yeah, I definitely like. I definitely do. I think the character of Benjamin Sisko was a really well-rounded character as well. It's a very well-written character. He really does have a lot of the core values that Captain Picard shared with him. Even though he wasn't a big fan of Picard, they share some of the values. Picard had. I mean, they share sort of the same. They do have some of the same values. But he, unlike Picard, Picard, still compromised. He wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty in certain extreme situations.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't. Kirk and Picard and Janeway, even Archer to a certain extent. Even though they had their pressuring points, they wouldn't compromise. They wouldn't. They wouldn't. Let's just say they wouldn't. In very tough situations, they wouldn't compromise their values, their morals, but.
Mm-hmm.
For the sake of achieving an objective, but Sisko did. He did what was necessary to get the job done, even though it didn't make him sleep well at night. He did what was necessary. He did what he thought was right, regardless of how moral or unethical it was. He's probably the most interesting and layered captain that the Star Trek series has ever offered.
Absolutely. Folks, just so you know, because we've started this episode so late, and we kind of need to get it finished really quick, so we're actually going to do a much more abbreviated discussion of the characters before discussing the main seasons this time around. So, I'm just going to run through the rest of the main characters that we started off with, and then I'll turn that over to Chris and let him talk about what he thinks of the other characters. So I really didn't have a problem with any of the characters in this series. I liked all of them. Major Kira was a good character, definitely a role model for women. I loved how she and Sisko would always get back and forth. That was a main source of drama. Jadzia Dax, oh my gosh, she was amazing. I loved watching her. Chief O'Brien from Next Generation made a great operator. Julian Bashir was always fun, always for a good laugh. Quark and Odo, oh my god, these guys were so much fun to watch. They're bickering, they're back and forth. Quark being the conniving bartender, Odo the stern security chief. Their reactions were just hysterical. Quark always trying to one-up Odo always trying to figure out what he's up to. Their moments were definitely some of my favorites whenever they would interact. Am I missing any character? Jake Sisko. I wish they could have done more with him. He seemed like he had some stuff to offer. Maybe some side characters. Nog was always interesting, and so was Rom. And I think those are all the main characters that I want to bring up right now. Obviously, we'll get to some more as they get introduced. But Chris, give me your thoughts on the rest of the main cast when the show started.
Well, these characters you were a lot more different than what you would see on Next Generation. Uh, Especially like in the beginning. I mean, I don't know. I'm not these characters. I don't like them as much as I do the characters from the other series, but they were interesting characters in their own right. In the beginning, in these characters, they didn't really get along in the first few parts of the show. They had difficulty seeing each other's point of view. Most notably, Odo. I mean, I do like Odo, but he is the stern, incorruptible security chief of the station. And of course his byplay with Court was like that was some great stuff. I mean, there was some great interactions between those characters. I love how Renee Arbour, Joe Noir, and Armin Shimmerman played off each other. They just did each other. So they just it's like the dialogue was always so sharp between those two characters. Korg was a riot, just to say the least. He was always trying to get up on somebody. He was always trying to. He was always trying to scheming. He was always trying to get himself into something. Especially especially the quarrels with his brother Raw. Oh my god. Oh my god. He is definitely he's definitely the show's comic relief, and probably the best of the Star Trek franchise at all. Definitely. And I wasn't really a big fan of Kira that much. I find her quite a bit frosty, not really aloof, but unapproachable in some ways. She's definitely a tough character, but it's something I didn't really warm up to in the beginning. I find her emotionally difficult. But as the show progressed, she kind of grew on me in some way. Okay. I mean, she definitely she was the more relaxed character and the likable character as the show went on. Definitely. And Jadzia, that's. Lord in heaven. Oh my god.
Yeah, speaking as a man right now, like the sexiest Star Trek lady I've ever seen. I can call it right now.
Beautiful, sassy, vital. Oh my gosh, she was. And I was so upset when they killed her off. God damn it! What the hell?
Yeah, well, we'll bring that up later on. We'll talk a little more about that when it happens.
Definitely, but yeah.
She was so fascinating because of the Trill Insider. I mean, Jadzia was the Dax Symbiote's 7th host. And I always loved the interactions that she had with Cisco because her previous host, Curzon, was one of Benjamin's greatest friends. So I loved how he always called her old man. I just thought that was funny.
I love that as well.
Their interactions were great.
Oh yeah, I love their chemistry, their relationship with each other, definitely, and also Dr. Bashir. I liked him. I liked how naive he was and how optimistic he was. He did turn a little darker as the seasons progressed. He still had that, that optimistic, kind of naive personality about him. Chief O'Brien, as great as all he was, even when he on DS9. Of course, they brought in Worf, and I think he was a much better character than he was on Next Generation. I always liked him on Next Generation, but I thought he was even. I thought it was he was 10 times way more better on this. You can't forget that some of the supporting characters, the recurring characters like Ron, of course, in this. And Nog, who was kind of like a mischievous boy in the beginning, but he grew up to be a very mature fellow. He's a very competent Starfleet officer. Of course, there's Garrick, who doesn't
yes.
Garrick.
The tailor / spy. Garrick was so much fun.
Oh my God, what an incredible character that was. Of course, Gul Dukat, the most amazing of Star Trek villains.
Really?
Yes, even alongside with Khan. He's the Gul Dukat has so much to it. He's such a wonderful character.
Absolutely. I think you got to give a lot of credit to the actor who played Marco Lamo. He was so well done. That's something that we did not talk about at the beginning, but I figure we'll bring that up right now, which was the villain, the main villain of Deep Space Nine, and that was the Cardassians, not to be mistaken with the Kardashians. Don't make that mistake, people. It is Cardassians. Cardassians. Not Chians, Cians. Cardassians.
Oh,
Keep that fact straight. And they were a big centerpiece in Deep Space Nine because the station itself was orbiting the planet Bajor, which had just recovered from the Cardassian occupation, which lasted decades. The Cardassians occupied Bajor, wiping out their culture, nearly wiping out the Bajoran people, and that's why the Federation was there. And the conflict between the Bajorans and the Cardassians was definitely a big figure, maybe a big story thread throughout the entire series, and we'll talk a little about that as we get to the season. So, I like the Cardassians as villains. They were definitely different from the Klingons and the Romulans, because they were, in some ways, I think they were more sympathetic, just because of like no, I don't know if sympathetic is the right word. They were a different villain. I think that's the only way I can start. They were a different villain than the Klingons and the Romulans, and I liked them for this series. What about you?
I mean, I thought they were I thought they were like wonderful villains as well. Definitely a step down from say the Klingons and from the Klingons and and Romulans and some of the other villains in this series. I felt they were much more menacing. So, in some ways, and it's just I think gives this kind of chilling presence when they're around, especially Golden Kai, and Elena played the hell out.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get to seasons, and obviously we'll start with season 1. If I recall, that one only lasted 19 episodes. That was definitely the shortest one. I think the best way to describe season 1 of Deep Space Nine is like establishment. Like season 1 was mostly devoted like establishing characters, establishing their backgrounds. We get to know these characters, set them up for big moments to happen later on the line. A couple good episodes, but moreover, I would say season 1 was definitely a establishment season, so we get to know these characters, get to know the environment they're around, get to know more about the Bajorans, get to know the Cardassians. Like it was an establishing season. That's how I look at season 1 of Deep Space Nine. What about you, Chris?
I mean, I haven't seen. Well, when I was younger, I didn't see much of the show.
Okay.
I mean, I did see a few episodes of the season. Mostly. I believe I've seen a few. 3, 4, maybe 4, 5 or so of this season. Definitely, yeah. I mean, establishment is pretty much the word. They had a lot of ground to cover. With this season, it's better than most freshman seasons of TV shows, even Next Gen's first season. But it's a bit uneven there in some parts. I mean, it does lack a bit of focus at times, it does, but it did. It did kind of rely on characters from Next Generation to appear in the series. Picard, Q, the Duras sisters, and all those other characters. Bosch, but it has some great material. Mostly, the pilot episodes definitely one of the best, out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and of course, the episode duet with the Cardassian, Maritza. I mean, I'm not sure if you remember the episode, but yeah, one where Kira confronts this war criminal, who was who was charged of the slave camps, when during the Cardassian occupation. That was one hell of an episode. The writing was so wonderful, and it's just like and then it's just like, and it's just the drama of it, just like, and the performances were riveting, man. It's like, man, it's just like it shows it doesn't take any easy ways out, But yeah, definitely, the first season is pretty good in retrospect.
Okay. One of the low points that I thought from season 1, and this is something that I don't know, I've never been able to get over this. It was the first step. It was like it was a series premiere, episode 1, It was when Cisco first met Captain Picard. Now, they
Mm-hmm.
established in a backstory that Cisco was part of the fleet at Wolf 359 that confronted the Borg ship that captured and assimilated Picard, and it was also where Cisco's wife was killed. I mean, they established that at the beginning, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I did not like the way Cisco treated Picard. Like
Mm-hmm.
when he looked at him, he did not see Captain Picard. He saw Locutus, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, do you think Picard had any control over his actions? Why are you blaming him for your wife's death? It wasn't him. Like, it was a Borg. For God's sake, show some respect, why don't you? Maybe that's just me, but I did not like the way Cisco treated Picard. That was just bullshit to me. But what about you?
And definitely, I just like his attitude was completely improper. It's just like his attitude, the attitude he gave out to the car was definitely well not suited. There was a bit of sympathy, with Cisco. Yes, he did lose his wife, and that's it. That was it was a horrible thing. The thing about the whole scene is just like, it's just like he doesn't deserve to be treated like this. I mean, he like you said, he had no control over his actions. I mean, he did went everything. He went through everything for him. To make him feel comfortable. In their first meeting, but he's a bit of an asshole in that.
Yeah.
Not the best of first meetings at all.
No. So yeah, that was one thing I didn't like about season 1, but other than that, it was okay. So let's talk about actually, before we move on to season 2, is there like an episode or two of season 1 that you think was like stood out above the rest of them?
About season 1?
Yeah, like a season 1 episode that you thought stood out.
I mean, like I said, about the episode with the cure, Intel confronting the war criminal duet. That's the best, of that whole first season.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's one episode I felt that stood out.
An episode I thought stood out. I can't remember the name of it, but it was the one where these like mental energy things come aboard the station and possess members of the crew, and they reenact this civil war that was fought on a planet in the Gamma Quadrant. I can't remember the name of the episode.
If wishes were horses?
I'm sorry?
If wishes were, what is it, dramatized persona or something like that?
I think that was it, yeah.
I'm not real sure. Maybe that was,
Like, it was the one where, like, these mental energy possessed Cisco, O'Brien, Kira, Dax, and Bashir, and it kind of like pitted them against each other in some kind of war or some not a war, that made them hate each other, essentially, I guess. I can't remember the name of the episode. I think it was Dramatis Persona, but that was I thought for me that was a standard episode of season 1. All right, so season 2, we'll move on to that one. This was the episode where the season. This is where we established the other big baddie at Deep Space Nine, which is maybe not established, but we hear about it, the Dominion.
Ooh.
This is when we start to hear whispers of the Dominion, like, oh, there's like big force from the Gamma Quadrant, like everyone's in fear of them and that kind of thing. Season 2 was definitely about establishing Dominion, establishing things to come, and it's going to be, some big shit's going to be happening later on in the series, so everyone get ready for it. So I thought that was mostly what season 2 was about. As far as I'm concerned, I think that was like the weakest season of the series. Like, not a lot of episodes stood out for me. Actually, I don't think any episodes really stood out for me. There were definitely some good episodes, but nothing that really stood out for me. So that's kind of what I thought about season 2. What did you think about season 2?
I thought it was pretty okay. I thought it was a pretty okay season. I mean, actually, it was a very good season. It's like not the best season, but it did come to establish some things. That will go on later in the show. Furthermore, we get to see more about the Maquis.
That's right. We also get to learn about the Maquis.
That's right, and how they were a driving force. Especially on on the show and part of the last season of Next Generation, of course, in Star Trek Voyager.
Yes.
And
So
go ahead. Yeah.
No, go on. I forgot they established the Maquis in the second season, and yes, they were a big factor in Star Trek Voyager, which we will discuss next episode. But continue with season 2, Chris.
Oh yeah, definitely. Also, one of the big highlights was the return to the Mirror Universe with Cross.
Oh man, the Mirror Universe. I missed that one.
Especially like the episode that featured its return, and that was Crossover. When Kira and Bashir experience some kind of malfunction, difficulties, and they're transported to the Mirror Universe. Man, wow, what an episode that was.
Was it me, or was that alternate Kira just Wow, like I would not want to fuck with her, but might want to do something else along that line. I think just gave off that impression. I'm like, jeez, Louise.
Oh my goodness. Woo, she was an interesting thing.
Yes, indeed.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but yeah, Mirror, but Crossover, wow. Just like the style of it, the lighting, man. That was a cool episode, man. Just like the first of many Mirror uses. Of course, we will return again in season 3. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Okay, so were there any other episodes besides Crossover that stood out for you in this one?
Not really. It was, like I said, it was a pretty good season. Not the best, but it was pretty good. And of course, when the end of season finale with the Jemadar.
Yes.
Established what was to come with the Dominion going over into season 3.
Yep, and which we will get to right now. I think this was definitely where, more established was when we finally learn about Odo's people. We learn they're called Changelings, and they are the founders. They are the leaders of the Dominion, and a lot of bad stuff's about to happen. So everyone's kind of getting ready. A lot of great episodes from this one. What was it? There was a lot of great episodes in season 3. I thought it was very well written. The episode where Garrick reunites with Anabra and Tane, and who's heading the Cardassian Obsidian Order. They're uniting with the Tal Shiar to destroy the Dominion before they can do anything. I mean, that story arc was very well done. I love that. What else? This is where we also meet Sisko's love interest, Cassidy Yates. And Sisko starts getting his more traditional, his beard growing. He also gets promoted to captain in this season. I think probably my favorite episode, however, is I think it's the second to last episode where Jadzia's participating in this ritual where she gets to meet all her previous hosts, and just the interaction she had with Odo, who had curves on it. Like, that was such a well done episode. I think that was definitely a standout for me with season 3. But yeah, overall season 3, very strong episode and continuing to establish things to come. Like, things are about to get real. So, Chris, we'll talk about season 3 for a moment. What'd you think of it? Do you have any episodes that stood out? What do you like about it?
Like I said, I didn't watch many episodes of the season. I still need to go on Netflix and watch the series again. But this seems like a pretty good season. Definitely. Like I said, this shows that the show is going in a new direction. It's very exciting where it goes along the way, especially with the introduction of the Defiance.
Yes.
Yes, the baddest starship, one of the baddest starships there is, man. Tough little ship, I mean, the Millennium.
Little? I had to go there.
Oh my Lord! Oh, first contact. Oh my God. Let's say the Millennium Falcon may have a contender. I mean, I don't know. I think the Millennium Falcon was just better than the Defiance. But yeah, the opening of the opening of the season was definitely a well done episode, and it's all right. This is like it's like it had some great action adventure to it. You know, I love the interactions between the characters. Of course, that moment where Bodo meets his race for the first time, it's like
yes.
Like that's a stunning moment there. You know, I like the House of Quark. I thought that was a pretty well done episode. I thought that was a really funny episode in retrospect. You know, and of course, I like Armin Shimmerman's performance as Quark. That of course, we get to see Gowron in that episode again. Definitely, and also we return to the mirror, and of course, there's also Defiant. You know, the episode where the Thomas Riker, the duplicate of William,
yes,
steals the Defiant. And of course, in order to help the Maquis, it's I compared this to the Red October being a very suspenseful episode. And they're just like they're on for the hunt. I love the pacing of it. It's just excitement. It's just such an sense of excitement about it. I thought that was a really well done episode. And so right. Of course, we go to the mirror universe again through the Looking Glass. Instead, Cisco being kidnapped. Trying to convince the mirror version of his dead wife. To join the cause, and I guess the Klingon Cardassian alliance. Like I said, very entertaining comic book adventure. You can't get enough of the mirror universe, especially the intended cure. So sultry, it's menacing at the same time.
Oh yes, that's a woman right there. All right, so let's move on to season 4, and wow, this season started off with a bang, I gotta tell you, people. The Way of the Warrior 2-parter. We see the return of Michael Dorn as Worf. The Klingons are convinced the Dominion has invaded Cardassia. They go to invade it themselves. The what's it called? The Khitomer Accord is broken. The Federation and Klingons are enemies again. Worf joins the Deep Space Nine crew. I mean, this was just a phenomenal season all around. We see Cisco get his brand new look, which is actually Avery Brooks' signature look, like the bald head and the goatee. Interesting behind the scenes story, real quick. When he was initially offered the role of Commander Cisco, he actually did not want to take it at first because it meant having to grow his hair out, shave his goatee, which he did not want to do. He always considered that his signature look. But obviously he took the role, but as we got to season 4, he was allowed to get his classic look back. So that definitely shows you things are changing, and because I think so things were changing. The Klingons are baddies, the Dominion's more prominent. Season 4 was just absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, Way of the Warrior was a big standout for me. Just, oh my God, such a great episode. And strong season for season 4. So, Chris, talk to me about season 4.
Season 4. What a delight! Oh my God!
Yes.
This is where the show started to take on a new look. Oh my God! A new title sequence. Cisco with a bolt, his head shaved. He got that goatee. It's kind of like a semi-new look. Worf on the show. Rearrangement of the opening theme. Man, seems like a different show in comparison.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just and of course, this was whereas the first 3 seasons had a quieter tone about this. This was a little bit more action adventure, and of course, Way the Warrior establishes that. Man, it has such intrigue to it. Interesting plot developments. The action was awesome. Amazingly well done. Of course, you had Klingons. It seemed to be what the season was about. Klingons.
Yep.
Definitely, and of course, you had the Visitor. That's the time travel episode. With Jake, and that was.
Oh yes.
That was one of the. That's one of the show's best hours right there. Just it's so involved you. Of course, you have like Little Green Men, which is like
oh, that episode was awesome. I love that one.
that was a pretty good story. Not great, but it was pretty good. Especially placing. It was an inspired idea. Placing Quark, Rom, and Odo and Nog in that situation in like the time of like Roswell. Man, I thought that was an interesting and great amusing scenario in itself.
Yes, indeed. Oh, another great story arc in season 4 that I just freaking love. The story arc where there's a bomb set off at Starfleet headquarters, and evidence suggests a changeling did it. So, they go Cisco, Odo, and go back to Earth. The whole martial law is established.
Oh yeah,
the military doing enough. Starfleet doing enough. Like, oh my gosh, great episode, seething with intrigue and action. Just.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful story arc. And then, of course, the ending with Odo getting sick, and he's sent back to his people, and he loses his shape-shifting powers, and then the suspicion that Gowron's a changeling. Is just, season 4 is incredible, and it leads off with a bang to season 5. Season 5 definitely has a lot of standout episodes for me. Obviously, the conclusion of that story arc. It was Martok who was the changeling in this time. The Kittimore Accord was negotiated again, not reestablished just yet. Oh my gosh, just so many amazing moments in season 5. The Kittimore Accord eventually does get re-signed. We find out that Dr. Bashir had been replaced by a changeling. Martok establishes place on DS9. The Cardassians join the Dominion. And then the finale with the big battle. Oh my gosh, so many amazing story arcs in season 5. Like, I think that might be my favorite season in the whole series. Like, season 5 was just like everything came together for it. Solid season, a lot of great episodes. I think hands down my favorite has to be, however, the Trials and Tribulations. That episode is just so amazing. And even today, the way they're able to just so seamlessly incorporate the DS9 crew into the original series environment. To this day, it still amazes me how seamless it is and how well done they handled it. One of probably my favorite episode in the entire series. I love that episode. So a great episode for an amazing season. So yeah, season 5 was spectacular. Chris, what about you?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like the season 5 really, surpassed the efforts of the previous seasons. Just like, and the writing is probably, one of the contributing factors. There's so many good, well done, good stories in the series. Like you said, we get back, get back to the Kimmer Accords, and the two-parter, in the two-parter, in Purgatory Shadow by Inferno, and then by Inferno's Light.
By Inferno's Light, yes.
There was like, and the Purgatory Shadow had some of the most downright shocking developments of the series. Of course, yes. She said Shearer has been replaced by a changeling imposter. We found out Jared Martok is still alive after they shot him in the opening of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Tane is still alive.
Yep.
And Tane is Garrick's father, and of course, and the changeling spy has sabotaged O'Brien's attempts to seal the world for him. This season was much more. I felt that that writing, that episode, as well as the series itself, was much more ambitious in scope than the previous seasons. There was a lot of developments in the character and the plot this season, man. It's just like, and like you said, trials and tribulations. What a delight that was! Oh my god! And then of course the call to arms for that big battle at the space station.
Oh my god, so well done.
Yes, it's the most infuriating cliffhanger since the best of both worlds.
Yes, indeed. One thing that I did mention actually was during season 5, Worf and Jadzia become a couple.
Oh yeah.
So there's a romance. There's a romance going on.
Yes, and they were such a perfect pair for each other. No one would expect that those two to have that kind of relationship, man.
Yeah, I am. Oh, and another big revelation. I think this happened in season 5. The big revelation surrounding Dr. Bashir's backstory in the episode Dr. Bashir,
Oh
I presume. We
yeah.
learned that he was genetically enhanced as a child.
Yeah.
That was a very well done episode, and the conclusion speech that the admiral made. Oh my gosh, that was such an amazing speech. Like even today, I still remember like all the words. It was just so well done. When the deal is reached and Bashir's father's going to prison, Bashir asked the admiral, 2 years. Don't you think that's a little harsh? And that speech he gives, like, no, not really, Doctor. 200 years ago, we tried to change our people through the use of genetic engineering. And what did we get for our troubles? The eugenics wars. For every Julian Bashir that can be created, there's a Khan Singh waiting in the wings, a superhuman whose ambitions have been enhanced as well as his strength and mental abilities to the and that he becomes a danger to everyone. The laws against genetic engineering protect us from serve as a firewall to protect us against future cons. It's just I can't remember like the exact words completely, but it's such a well done speech to an amazing episode. They also get new uniform this evening. It was definitely a season of change and much greater intensity, darker moments. So phenomenal season. Anything else you want to bring up from season 5?
Honestly, I mean, just bring back it. Like I said, it's like this is just a lot of development that's going on in these pieces. You're excited to go where the show's going next. That's probably it's like the best. It's probably I think the darkest season. I believe. At all. There are definitely a lot of surprises here and there, and it's just like this is a wonderful season. Like I said, great writing all around. It's like best. I mean, one of the best all Star Trek.
Yep. So let's move on to season 6. This is when the wars really begun, and man, it is like so depressing because like the entire season, the Federation's getting their asses handed to them in this war. But I mean, despite all that, there were definitely some bright moments. I mean, Worf and Jadzia got married. Worf is reunited with his son Alexander. What else? I mean, very dark but a lot of big plot twists develop. The Romulans join the Federation Klingon alliance later on. Dukat is falling out of favor with the Dominion alliance. They also introduced Damar in this big time in this season. He played by Casey Biggs, who did a great job with the character. He was a good character. Yes, I don't think there's really not too much to say about season 6 other than it was a very well done episode. I think we had one more. I think we had another visit to the Mirror Universe. I don't know, but definitely one of the lower points of season 6 was the finale. They score a victory over the Dominion, but killed off Jadzia Dax, man. That pissed me off so much, especially after she and Worf were talking about having kids. Yeah, that was angry. That made me angry because I love Jadzia so much. Behind the scenes, if I recall reading an interview she did that Terry Farrell did correctly, there was actually some confusion going on behind the scenes. I guess Terry was getting a little tired of the long schedules of Deep doing the show, so she asked to like have her character cut back to maybe just being like a recurring character. I guess the Paramount executives misheard her and thought that she was tired of the show and wanted to leave, so that's why they killed her off. But regardless, I did not like that at all. So, like I said, season 6 was it was okay. Not a whole lot to say, and that ending was just really bad. So, I mean, yeah, that's all I got to say about season 6. I don't think there were many episodes that stood out, except this one where Dr. Bashir is asked to help out some genetically modified individuals assimilate into regular society. Do you remember that episode?
I don't think I've seen it. I mean, how do I say?
Yeah, there's this episode like now that Dr. Bashir's genetically all engineered passes out in the open, he's asked to help some other people who have been genetically engineered but not so lucky as him accumulate into regular society. become like help contributing members, all that stuff. The only reason I bring this up is because there is a Power Ranger connection in this episode. One of the genetically engineered people. There was a woman who was played by Hilary Shepard Turner. She was the main villain in Power Rangers Turbo. She was Divatox, the Pirate Queen. So that's the only reason I bring up that episode, because there's a Power Ranger connection in that episode. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about season 6. What about you?
I mean, I'm with you, man. I'm with you, definitely. It's just like, season 6 was definitely a few bit notches down from season 5. It felt a bit, I don't know about slippery. No, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say slippery, in terms of storytelling, the season, but it was a pretty good season overall. The 6th episode arc, it started off with a bang. Oh my goodness, especially, the Federation is at its grimace, at that point, just like there's so many ships being lost, Jake's sister's being left on the station, and Bashir is being a bit of an asshole, like an uncomfortable person to be around, But we did succeed in getting the station back in Sacrifice of Angels, Of course,
yes.
That led to the the mental breakdown of Gold Khan. Especially after Damar shot his daughter.
Yep.
Of course, we know, yes, Jack, Worf and Dax got married, and I mean, it's lightweight, it's fluff, plain and simple. You just like it's got a great sense. It's got a great humor to it, but it's too cliched, it's not one of the standout hours of the show. It's got great chemistry between the characters, but it's not exactly anything to write home about. Because two standout episodes of the season. One of them was Far Beyond the Stars.
Okay.
Yeah, Far Beyond, where Cisco, is a science fiction writer in 1950s America.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to deal with that was an imaginative, scenario in itself. It dealt with, topics of racism and all that, that it has some great writing and a great performance by Avery Brooks in that episode, And also the other standout was In the Pale Moonlight.
I can't remember that one, I'm afraid. What was that one about?
It's when Cisco, is seeing how the Federation is at its grimmest and lowest point, and he figures out how to find a way to have the Romulus joy.
Oh, that's right. Yes, very good episode.
Yes, very good episode. Like shocking in itself. Just damn audacious, man. It's just like compelling. And every book just gives it his all in that, man. And his thing with Garrick, some of the scenes they had in that. Wow.
Yes, indeed. One thing I forgot to mention, another big highlight of, not necessarily highlight, but a big story arc that happened in season 6 was Kira and Odo finally.
God damn it. Of all things, why? Oh. Okay, folks, we'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, folks, we're back on. We just experienced this slight error there.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes this happens with Google Plus. It sucks.
Oh yeah.
All right. What was the last thing you remember me saying?
Well, we were talking about In the Pale Moonlight. The episode. Yeah, we were talking about how good that was, and Avery Brooks' performance and the monologues is just like
yes,
That's one hell. That's one hell of a way to write monologues, though. Especially his scenes with Garrick, though. Just like their interactions with each other. Whoa, it's just like how they play off each other in those episodes. Wow, and it was so dark and brooding. Oh my god.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So another big thing I forgot to mention that happened in season 6. Kira and Odo finally become a couple in this season. They hook up, they get together, all that. So that was a big happen. That was a big. All right, so let's move on to the final season, season 7. Obviously, this is where things wrap up. We also get introduced to a new character. It's Ezri Dax, played by Nicole DeBoer. I don't know. It's tough to say how I feel about her because, I mean, not that she was bad. I didn't think she was bad at all. It's just, you only got one season to establish a character. You really can't do that. And I mean, just I don't know. I think it would have been better off if they just simply, just if the Dax symbiote got back to the home planet and that was it. Like we never heard from it again. I think that would have been a better thing than introducing, Ezri Dax. Like I said, not that I didn't like her. I did. It's just it was with only one season left. Why are you bringing in a new character now? So that was kind of the big misstep for me about that. But other than that, a lot of great episodes, great story. Obviously, this Damar rises up against the Dominion, forms a Cardassian rebellion. The disease infecting Odo's people. Some great battle episodes in here. Just very well done. And then, of course, the final episode, the Federation wins the war. Cisco finds out the truth about his mother, and he marries Cassidy Yates and then winds up joining the Prophets. And just a lot of great stuff happened in season 7. It was a nice way to wrap it up. I enjoyed it. One of my favorite episodes has to be the Holosuite program with Vic Fontaine, and he struggled with that. Frankie I. That was a great episode. Definitely a stand-up. But yeah, great season and a great way to end the series. I enjoyed season 7. What about you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Season 7 was a great way to wrap things up. It was definitely much better than season 6. Like I said, Deep Space Nine has always been the most ambitious. Story and quality is just it's like, and this season shows no different how ambitious that show was, and they definitely got a lot of great material out of this series, out of the episode. And it was some great hours, like especially with the whole thing. Take me to the whole Holosuite episode when they're doing the baseball game. That was a fun episode to watch, especially especially with seeing the characters, in a seemingly hopeless situation, how to beat the ball. Of course, the comedy was wrong. It was pretty, pretty delightful in itself, especially Odo as an umpire. Oh,
I know one of my favorite scenes that episode is like Kira peeks into Odo's office and he's like rehearsing his lines. He's like practicing the postures and everything. It was so much fun.
Yeah, yes, it was. Oh my goodness. Oh, and also another, of course, we get to see Core for the last time. From Error and Mercy and What's More Unto the Breach. That was a good episode. Of course, and of course, JG Hertzer gives a good support, good performance, a smart talk, and like how Core responds to his insults, and he just and Bartok is just pissed off. He's just like, I mean, it's not like something that would take the status of classic, but it's a very good offering. Another great, one of the great episodes of this season has to be the Siege of AR-558.
Oh, phenomenal episode.
Yeah,
amazing story, great action. Damn good episode.
Yes, one of the great war stories of Star Trek, ever told. I mean, just like the photography of it, this is just so unrelentingly dark and grim, and it's just utterly hopeless. And especially with Armin Shimmerman with giving that performance, the performance is Quark, man. It's just like this disparity of this episode. Wow, it's just like it's just like it's just as good as it can get, and I mean, it's just one of the best hours of the show. We unfortunately get to visit. And we get to revisit the Mirror Universe. Unfortunately, it's not one of the best hours of the show. The Emperor's New Cloak. Can't stand that episode. Yeah, that's what with it's just so corny, campy. It's just like it's just fluff. It's just not one of the best episodes the show has to offer. One of the great episodes has to be in this season. So of Star Trek has to be Inter Amar Emin Silent Legesse, which means in times of war the law is silent. You know, when Bashir goes to Romulus.
Yes.
Uncover the plot, what's going on there, and of course, you know, with Sloan played by William Sadler. Oh my!
Phenomenal villain.
Yes, he's one of the great. It's just like it's one. It shows why it's one of the examples show why DS9 is one of the best episodes. You know, it is just like, you know, and this is its greatest morality plays, and you would find it in like the classic series. You know, because we got the 10 final episodes of the show, wrapping up the whole season. Of course, you got so many changes with Damar having Cardassia joining the rebellion in the war against the Dominion. You know, of course, you got to bring. I don't know. I'm not sure how they got into the whole state of things. You know, but you know. But it's whatever. It's questionable at best. Of course, you got the destruction of the Defiant. Oh my God!
He got a new ship though.
Yeah, they got a new ship though. The finale of the series, it wasn't a great finale. It was a pretty good finale. It wrapped everything up, but I felt it lacked something. You know. I'm not. This is like I guess it wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be, but it was still a pretty good. It was a wonderful way to end the series. You know.
I can't really think of anything else I want to discuss from season 7 or like all of this Deep Space Nine. Is there anything else you want to bring up before we wrap up?
Oh no, that's it. I think we covered a lot of what we wanted to talk about with this series. One of the best Star Trek series ever written.
Yes, indeed. All right, guys. I think that's gonna wrap up episode 3 of Star Trek Month. Chris, it's been a pleasure talking about this show with you.
Oh yeah, definitely, Paulie. It's great talking, especially about this show with you. It's just a lot of fun. Just having a blast, man. Great.
All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I imagine it can get a little boring when like we all agree on the same topics, but I can promise you, I have a strong feeling that is going to change with the final 2 episodes because based on our discussions, it sounds like. Well, I may be a fan of the next 2 series that we're going to be talking about. Chris apparently is not. So I hope you're in for even more entertainment I hope you're in for some drama because it sounds like Chris and I are going to be fighting a lot in the next 2 episodes, debating why we love or hate the next 2 series. So I hope you will tune in for that when we begin the debate of Star Trek Voyager. In the next episode, that is episode 4 of Star Trek Month, so I hope you'll tune in to watch the war happen. So we will see you then. Have a great day.